Okay, so we're done now with graphing. Let's not talk anymore about graphing quadratics. You can look at the first two chapters. We graphed, what did we do? I think we graphed with the x-intercept, y-intercept, and vertex. That was type 1. And type 2 was just graphing with the vertex and then going 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, 5. So those are the two different ways of graphing. We are now going to be doing solving. Now, we've technically already done this. This question, these three questions were in the previous unit on factoring. Chapter 3 or something, I think, was solving. We're going to remind ourselves how to do this, and so as to compare later on to some different ways. So we learned that how to solve this question by factoring. Turns out there's two other ways to do this. So we want to compare all of them just to have a variety. So to do this, you need to get, I guess the thing that we ended up learning is that if you have an x squared and an x, you can't possibly solve and get x alone because you can't combine these. They're always going to be separate. And so how can you get x alone when there's two of them? So the only way to do that is to do factoring. So 5 and 1, my diagonals, I'm not going to go over this anymore, but my diagonals are 5x and 1x, which add up to 6x. So x plus 1 and x plus 5 is equal to 0. And then we can solve, say, well, we've got x plus 1 equals 0, or we have x plus 5 equals 0. So this bracket is 0. If we try to make this bracket 0, 0 times anything is still 0. And if we make this bracket 0, 0 times anything is also still 0. So we're doing two separate things. So we're going to minus the 1 over onto this side. X equals negative 1. So that's one option. And for this one, you want to get x alone as well. This is like a grade 8 question here where we're just moving one thing over by adding or subtracting. So x equals negative 1 and x equals negative 5. So if you put negative 1 in there, negative 1 squared, and you put a negative 1 in here, so negative 1 squared is 1, negative 1 in there is a negative 6, and a positive 5. 1 minus 6 is negative 5, negative 5 plus 5 is 0. So plugging negative 1 in there would work. So would plugging in negative 5. So put negative 5 in there, squared is a positive 25. Put a negative 5 into here, and you're going to get a negative 30 plus a 5. 25 minus 30 is negative 5, plus 5 gets you 0. So both of those work. Now, there's going to be a different way to get these two answers, but we're starting just as a reminder that, hey, we can solve this by factoring. So with this question here, I'm going to factor negative x and positive x. That gets me the left-hand side, and I need to get to 8. So 4 and 2, and one of them needs to be negative, so I made this negative. So this diagonal is going to be negative x times negative 4 is a positive 4x. This diagonal is a positive 2x. You add them up, you get a positive 6x, which is what we wanted. So you've got this factor, negative x plus a 2, and this one, x minus 4 is equal to 0. So we've got two separate equations. Negative x plus 2 equals 0, or x minus 4 equals 0. This one on the right here, you can add 4 to the other side. I'm not going to do that. You're going to get plus 4, those cancel out, and you're going to get an x equals 4. Here, you're going to minus 2 over to the other side, so minus 2 over to there. And then there's a negative, so you can divide by negative 1. So what do we have? Negative 2 over negative 1 is a positive 2. So those are our two answers. If you took 4 and you put 4 in here and 4 in here, it should get you the left side. This whole thing should end up equaling 0. Lastly, x and x get me the left side, which is x squared. I need to get to 3. So 3 times 1 is 3, but one of them needs to be negative. This diagonal is a negative 3x. This diagonal is a 1x. If you add them, you get negative 2x's, which is what I have. So I've got an x plus 1 and an x minus 3 equals 0. So I can create two equations. I've got x plus 1 equals 0, or I can have this bracket, x minus 3 equals 0. For this one, I can minus 1 from both sides, and you'll get x equals negative 1. And here I can add 3 to both sides. Those would cross off, and I got x equals 3. So that was just a review. It's good to have that in. That's how we did it last time. And then we're going to do the exact same questions. We're going to do them again, but we're going to do them a different way. And we're going to make sure that we get the exact same thing. So we'll do that in the next video.